Hello, room 32. Welcome to your end of module review. Our learning target for today is we're actually going to review every math concept we have learned in module 1, lessons 1 all the way to 21, which we did yesterday. So today we're going to work on word problems and multiplication and the commutative property. We might use tape diagrams. We will draw arrays. So this is everything we have learned so far this year. We're going to review it so you will feel ready for your test tomorrow. Today you are getting a worksheet, a review worksheet that's titled End of Module Review. And it just has two questions, one on this side, one on the other side, but you will notice that there are letters that correlate with each question, so we will solve each part. So these are multi-step word problems, and we practiced yesterday two-step word problems. So I'm just going to zoom a little bit so we can read our word problem, and I want you to follow along with me. So I'm going to write my name at the top, and the date, and then I'm going to have you follow along with me. So I'm going to read the word problem that we're working with today, and then we will start solving. So here is our end of module review number 1. Mrs. Hirsch puts all the desks in her classroom into 5 equal groups of 4. How many desks are in her classroom? Show a picture and a multiplication sentence to show your work. So up here, I'm going to do R, D, W, W to help me remember this is a word problem. So I need to read the word problem, which I just did, then draw a picture, then write an equation, then write a number sentence. So I'm going to use our solving word problem strategies, and I'm going to start with underlining the question. Where's the question? Oh, here's a question mark. So we know the question is, how many desks are in her classroom? That's what we're trying to find out. My second strategy to solving word problems is to box important numbers. So I'm putting a box around 5 because I see there's a 5 right here. And I'm going to put a box around 4 because that's the other number that I see. My last strategy is to circle clue words. You see right here, equal groups. That's going to give me a clue that I'm going to be working with equal groups today. So it says show a picture and a multiplication sentence to show your work. So you get to draw whatever picture will help you remember to solve by putting Mrs. Hirsch's desks into 5 equal groups of 4. I'm going to give you a minute to draw a picture, then I'll show you the picture that I drew. So right now, draw a picture to show 5 equal groups of 4. Do that now. Okay, so you should have had time to draw 5 equal groups of 4, and I'm going to show you what I would draw to show 5 equal groups of 4, because we're breaking up our desks into 5 equal groups of 4. So here's my picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my 5 circles, and I have to remember that there's going to be 4 in each of my equal groups. So inside each circle, I'll do another circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 5 equal groups of 4. Now it says to show a picture and a multiplication sentence to show your work. So a multiplication sentence. So let's look back up here. I read, I drew a picture. Now I need to write an equation. Well, I see there's 5 equal groups of 4. So I'm going to use what I know about multiplication, and I will write 4 times 5 equals, well, I don't know, 12, 16, 20. 4 times 5 equals 20. So I read, I drew, I wrote an equation. Now I need to write a sentence. Well, what are we talking about here? We're talking about desks. How many desks are in her classroom? There are 20 desks in her classroom. There are 20 desks in her classroom. So let's make sure we solved all the parts for problem 1. It says show a picture. Did we do that? Yes. And a multiplication sentence. Did we write an equation? Yes. Did we write a sentence? Yes. So we'll check off that we also wrote an equation. On your test on Friday, you're going to get a problem that looks a lot like this. So you will remember how to draw a picture and break it into equal groups. Letter A says, what does the product in your sentence represent? So I want you to look at your picture that you drew and your multiplication sentence and think about what does the product represent in your multiplication sentence. I want you to pause it right now and give yourself 30 seconds to think about what does the product represent, because you're going to write it in your own words. So think about that now and write it down right now what you think the product represents. Okay, welcome back. So you should have written something like the product represents the total number of desks. Because look up here. Let's look at our product. Our product is 20. When I say product, I just mean answer. The product is the answer of a multiplication or times. I'll put a little X right there to help you remember. The product is always the answer of a multiplication sentence. So there's the product. That's letter A. You'll see something like this on your test on Friday too. Letter B. Let's take a look at letter B on our papers.
Good afternoon. If anybody has jumper cables in their car, could you please come to the front parking lot? If anybody has jumper cables to help us out in the front, we have someone that could use them. If you could come to the front parking lot. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome back. Sorry about that announcement. It sounds like a teacher's car has died. Yikes. Welcome back to your review. So we're looking at letter B right now, and it says fill in the blanks below to complete a related division sentence. So we're actually going to have to come back up here and look at our original multiplication sentence to fill in a related division sentence. Well, we already have the number 4 here. And when we make a division sentence, the biggest number always goes first. So we're going to put the product of our previous answer right here. 20, 20. 20 desks divided by 4 equals So we got to go back and look at our multiplication sentence and see what number have we not used yet. 20 divided by 4, which is the size of the group, equals 5. And letter C is asking you, what does the quotient represent in part B? Well, let's look at our picture. Here's our picture up here. If our quotient, and when I say quotient, I mean the answer to a division sentence. So quotient, answer, I'm going to do division right next to it. Answer to a division sentence. We know that's what the quotient means. Let's look back up at our picture. Our quotient was 5. Well, are there 5 inside the circles? No. Are there 5 equal groups? Yes. So down here, what does the quotient represent in part B? Here's our quotient. The quotient represents the number of equal groups of desks. Because that's what we're talking about, Mrs. Hirsch's desks, right? Desks. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal groups of desks. So the quotient represents the number of equal groups of desks. We have just answered, let me zoom out. We've just answered 1, 2, 3, 4 different parts to just this one word problem up here. Okay? That's just the first half. So when you have your test on Friday, it's going to look very similar to this, and this is just one half of the test, and you guys can do it. You'll do a great job. And we're going to move on to the second side of our end of module review. So now I'm going to flip my paper over, and we have another question on this side. So it will say number 2, and then it has letter A, and we see there's 1, 2, 3 parts for number 2. So let's start with letter A. It says draw an array that shows 7 rows of 2. Write a multiplication sentence to represent the array and circle the factor that shows the number of rows. Okay, so let's just look at step 1. Draw an array that shows 7 rows of 2. Well, I'm using what I know about arrays, and I know that rows go this way and not this way. Columns go this way. Rows go this way. So I'm going to start by making 7 rows of 2. So now I know there's 2 in each row. Maybe I'll even put a box so I remember these numbers. So here's 1 row. Well, first I'll draw 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But now I know there's going to be 2 in each row. 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows. Write a multiplication sentence to represent the array and circle the factor that shows the number of rows. 7 rows times 2 in each row equals, let's see what it equals. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I just skip counted by 2's to find my answer, 14. So I wrote a multiplication sentence like it says. Part 2 says, and circle the factor that shows the number of rows. Well, does 7 or 2 show us how many rows we have? Let's look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know that 7 is showing us how many rows we have. This is part A. Let's move on to part B of our review for number 2. Draw another array that shows 2 rows of 7. There should be an of right here. Let's add a caret and an of. Write a different multiplication sentence for the array and circle the factor that represents the size of the row. Let's just start with this first part. Draw another array that shows 2 rows of 7. Okay, so now I have 2 rows. 1, 2. How many are going to be in each row? 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I have 2 rows and there's 7 in each row. Write a different multiplication sentence for that array. Well, this one was 7 times 2 because it was 7 rows of 2 up here. This one must be 2 times 7, which equals, well, let's see. If 7 times 2 equals 14, we can use that commutative property and we'll know that this is 14. But let's double check just to make sure. Let's skip count our columns by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Great. Am I done? No. It says, and circle the factor that represents the size of the row. Okay, well, how many rows do we have? 1, 2. How many are in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the size of the row is 7. Letter C. This is the last part of our end of the year module review. Explain the relationship between the two arrays using number, sentences, and words. Okay, this is where it gets tricky because we're going to write our answer in complete sentences. So let's look at our two arrays. We have one that's representing 2 times 7, or 2 rows of 7, and we have one array that's representing 7 times 2, or 7 rows of 2. Let's zoom out so we can see both of those arrays, and we need to explain the relationship between the arrays using number, sentences, and words. So I want you to pause right now and look at these two arrays and think of a property or something that we've learned to explain how they're related. So think about that now and then write it down. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you had a chance to notice that these two arrays are representing the commutative property, because the commutative property is showing factors that just switch places and trade meanings, but they have the same number in their arrays. So down here, in your own words, you can write your explanation in your own words. I'm going to write, these two arrays show the commutative property because, well, why? Because 7 times 2 is the same as what? Is the same as 2 times 7. That's one part. We also need to make a note that the factors switched places, but the totals stayed the same. So you can see I wrote 2 complete sentences explaining why these two arrays are similar. Why are these two arrays, 7 times 2 and 2 times 7, why are they similar? Well, their relationship is that they show the commutative property because 7 times 2 is the same as 2 times 7. But you can see the factors, 7 and 2, they just switched places. But the totals, 14 and 14, those remained the same. The total stayed the same. So that's one way you can explain the relationship between two different arrays that have the same total. Tomorrow, Friday, when you take your test, you are going to have a problem that looks like this, and you will have to use sentences, numbers, and words to explain or write how the two arrays have a relationship. So you will be expected to write and complete sentences in your test on Friday. So we have completed our end of module review. I know you're going to do a great job. I'm very confident in you. Good luck on your test on Friday, and you may stop the video.